What's going on, Switch Mentality? Today, I'm excited because we've got on DJ Lalama, who is a 3-year pro, current teammate, manager of Body Logic's player relations, former Youth Sports President's Trophy Award winner, and also Canada West Russ Jackson nominee. That's a mouthful, but DJ, welcome.
Hey, what's going on, Chris, man? I appreciate you having me on here.
Absolutely, man. So, for the people who don't know, who is DJ Lalama?
He's a relentless person no matter what he puts his mind to. I've been counted out a number of times in different facets of my life, but, it's not about how you get knocked down. It's about how you pick yourself back up. So hardest worker in the room. That's kind of how I pride myself. It doesn't have to be flashy. Just get the job done. And, they don't have to like me, but they'll respect the hustle that goes along with it. So
Exactly. So again, you mentioned being a guy who you don't have to like him, but you're gonna get it done. And you going into camp being the 70th overall pick, like the last pick in the draft. What's your mindset like going into camp where the odds are clearly stacked against you?
You know what? I was fortunate to get a shot with the Giants down in the NFL about 2 weeks before CFL camp. So it was nice to kind of get acclimated to a pro setting, right? Where it's different. The jump from youth sports to pro, no matter what league, it's a big jump, as you know. And I think for me, just having that kind of wake up call, before the actual Edmonton camp, played a big role in terms of just being comfortable. And I was lucky, actually. So Eddie Steele and Donnie Ramacion, they're two U of M guys, two guys that live in Winnipeg year-round that I train with. And we kind of had a convoy out to Edmonton, and they gave me the 1-2s on what to expect. So I think having those mentors, those veterans that you can kind of lean on, didn't make you feel like a 70th overall pick. You deserve a shot here. You have a locker here. They picked you for a reason. Doesn't matter what pick. You got the opportunity, and now kind of make the most of it. So, of course, you get in, you put your head down, you work, you do whatever's asked of you. Shoot, I played fullback because of some injuries too, and trying to show that I could be athletic. You know what I mean? And I was lucky enough that I made a decent impression on them, and they wanted to keep me around.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you mentioned going over to the NFL camps, and similarly to myself, I was able to go to the Browns camp,
Yeah.
and it does prepare you for kind of what's to come, because right, you're going to these NFL camps right outside of your university career, and you've never actually got a taste of that pro feeling yet. Then when you go there and then go to a pro camp, I feel like it kind of sets you up a little bit more for success. And that's also one of the reasons I reached out to you, because we had a similar story in regards to NFL camps, and also because you had an opportunity in regards to staying on the practice roster or going back to school to finish up your degree. So what was your mindset like when they kind of relayed that option out for you?
Yeah, you know what? I was actually on PR for a couple of weeks. So it was something that, I knew that there was a sweet spot date, kind of middle of July, where I had to come back and do some school and make sure I was eligible for another year of university football. And, it was a topic or a discussion that was weighing on my mind for a long time. And I mean, obviously, if I was playing, maybe I'm not having that same kind of discussion, right? Because you're clouded by the now and you're excited about the opportunity. But being on practice roster, I mean, to be honest with you, it was a great learning experience. But you come home at 2:30 in the afternoon. You're like, well, I don't got to play tomorrow. I'm not, kind of going out there under the lights and competing. And you're kind of like, what else can I do? As someone that doesn't like to sit down and just stay still and be stagnant, I was looking for other options on how I can better myself. And I think being on the PR and just showing, that, obviously the money is not gonna make or break you. The opportunity, it may come, it may not. The injuries that you started to see kind of, in the weeks after camp, you're like, this is not guaranteed. And for me, I'm lucky to have two parents that kind of instilled, great, call it core values, like how you want to prepare yourself and make sure you have something to fall back on. And for me, it was very difficult. I got emotional, talking to Ed Hervey and Jason Moss, because I didn't know if this opportunity would ever come back, and again, it's kind of something I live by, but I decided to bet on myself, go back to school, get it done, make sure that I have something to fall back on. Ended up writing the LSAT. I think it just expired my score, but nonetheless, it was good enough to get in if football didn't work out. And those are the things that you can control, instead of just kind of sitting on PR and letting someone else dictate, what tomorrow looks like for you.
Yeah, man, it's tough when you're thinking about going back to school and you're like, man, am I ever gonna get this shot again? you've worked so hard to
Yeah.
make your dreams come to fruition, and you're here, you're in the locker room, and it's like, damn, I gotta go back to school. Like,
Yeah.
like it's a completely different type of vibe that you're not. It's really tough to prepare for it. But I think, and I'll speak for myself. I don't know if you'll agree. I think looking back at it though, like obviously hindsight, it
Yeah.
does feel like it was the right decision. Would you
Oh,
agree?
without question. And like I said, I mean, if you're sitting on the NFL making, 20 grand American a week, on the PR, I mean, that's a whole different conversation. I mean, that changes your life instantaneously. But, as making 700 bucks Canadian, and getting taxed on that, that's not, going to be able to support you, let alone anybody else. And I love football. I know you love football. We love the work that goes in it, rain or shine. It's a passion of ours. It's something we've always done. And, it was hard, but at the same time, I knew that I could still play football going back to school. So I think that made it a little less stressful. And I mean, for me, to be honest, talk about that being that 70th pick, I just went back to school with a huge chip on my shoulder, both physically and academically, and just say, okay, like if I wasn't good enough before, like I thought I was a decent football player, but like now you got another thing coming because I get that type of fan. You know what
That's
I mean?
what's up. No,
So
for sure.
yeah,
That's what's up. And you mentioned obviously your parents like instilling these like core values into you, and you kind of had this thought of life after football, of like what's going on after football. And you also mentioned you're not a person to kind of like sit around and wait for things to come. You'd rather make your own luck. So
yeah.
during one of the off seasons, you decided to go write your certified strength coach a test to be a certified strength coach. Like, how did that kind of opportunity arise, and when did you realize that you wanted to become a strength coach?
Yeah, so I mean, I actually graduated with a kinesiology degree, so it was always an interest or a passion of mine. Dating back to my first year of university, I was always a personal trainer in the off season. So it was something that I really enjoy. Kind of watching that next generation grow. And if I can give a tool here and there or a tip here and there on how to not make the same mistakes I did, or hey, like this is probably going to help you more than what I had to find out through experiential learning. I'm all for it. And I think the other part of that too is I was really fortunate, and I'm sure you were too, that there were certain mentors that kind of put their hand out to us and
Yeah.
took us under their wing back in the day. And if I can be that same figure for kids coming up now, I mean, in the world where social media just litters kids with unnecessary garbage a lot of the time, that's a big passion of mine. And you know, I wasn't always a gym rat or whatever. It took some getting used to and some acclimating on my part. I didn't like the gym when I first got in it back in like grade 9. But then you see the benefit, mentally, physically, emotionally, that just being fit, kind of having a sound mind, all that positivity that can come with it. So that's what pushed me just to get certified to, kind of cover up the cracks, right? Like, you have a degree, okay, cool. How many thousands of people have a kinesiology degree across North America? But if you can get the gold standard certification, it's kind of like that instant respect factor. And it shows that you're willing to put that work in to make sure that you're taking care of other people.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you mentioned that you wrote that test to get the certification in the off season. How
Yeah.
much of that was tied to like the fickleness of football in itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think really since I left PR back in Edmonton in 2016, it's really always been about the fickleness. Just no guaranteed money, and not being in control. It's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of alpha males. And most of us playing football are alpha males, and you kind of get to a point and all you can do is work, and
Yeah,
sometimes that's not good enough. And I didn't want to be one of those people that got thrown out, cut, and had nothing else left. I have higher expectations for myself, than that. So really, it was just a matter of, okay, like what's the next proper step in just football, right? Everyone says, oh, like you're a 9-year vet, now you have credibility, now you have this experience, people trust you, respect you, whatever. Well, it's no different in academics. I know you're in law school now. You could have stopped with a bachelor, but you said no, no, no. Like 9 out of 10 people have one of those now. Like let me differentiate myself from the others. And, I respect that. And that's kind of what I did too, just in a different sense.
yeah, no, exactly. And you're mentioning all these things that are so like applicable to like football athletes now. And I think one other thing that was pretty applicable is the fact that you got injured in 2018 and you had to miss the whole season. And I know for a lot of guys, like when you get to a point where you have to miss the whole season, you get to kind of that tipping point where, all right, this could be it. Like I've just missed the whole season. I've trained all year to miss a season. Is this game really worth it? But
Yep.
you took it a completely different way and battled back through this injury. Like, what was that rehab process like, especially knowing you're gonna miss the whole season?
Yeah, I mean, like I've torn my labrum before on the other side, but like I played through it. You know what I mean in college, and it didn't impact me the same way. And being out in Montreal and training camp, just a regular old rep, inter squad game, and shoulder goes in and out, and you're like, oh, like that doesn't feel the way that it's supposed to. And luckily there's a good medical staff out there, and they took care of me right away. Came home, got surgery, and pretty soon it was like you don't have much left of your shoulder. Like you're not playing ball with a sling, without a sling, without surgery. So right away I knew that it was, I was done. And I think that's where the mental side of things come in, right? Like physically, it's not in your control right now. There's going to be a certain time frame where it's out of your reins. Like you just got to listen to the doc, you got to listen to the therapist. Yeah, you can push the envelope, but you know they got to let shit heal. And it's got to be what it's got to be. So for me, it was more of a mental battle than a physical battle. I always knew I'll put the work in when I get the green light. But just being patient, is why I think coming home, to be honest, and a therapist having me as their most important asset or person was really important, because if you stay in Montreal, right, you're not playing. You kind of fickle down to the bottom of the totem pole with regard to time and energy spent by the medical staff, and that's just not something that I wanted to kind of go into. But yeah, I mean, 8 days into my surgery or 8 days into my rehab is kind of when my life changed, though, to be honest with you. They ended up finding a blood clot in my right lung, and like I'm talking like mini heart attack. Like 9 out of 10 people probably like aren't talking about it. So they found a big clot in my right lung. My whole right side of my body went like numb, in a shock, couldn't breathe, couldn't see. Girlfriend, rushed me to the hospital. Her brother, um, essentially, I don't want to say saved my life, but that's what the docs were kind of saying. So that plus the mental battle plus the physical battle is just like, man, like everything else that happens from here on out is all gravy. You know what I mean? Like it puts a different lens on life. It puts a different scope on football. And it's like football, man, like now for me, it's just like a child's game again. I'm not putting all this weight and heavy stack into, oh, like, am I going to get cut tomorrow? Am I going to play? Oh, how did I do on film? No, just come down, have fun, enjoy the process, because it's not going to last forever. And that's really where I'm at now mentally. And I think my play has actually gotten better, because I'm not putting that same kind of weight and pressure on myself as I did before.
Exactly. And I think you kind of not jumping into the lake with both feet and going into other endeavors that can make football more of a child's game and to be a little bit more relaxed when you play. Obviously, it has helped you because I know in this past season when I was watching the Owls, of course, you actually got your shot in one of the later weeks of the season. You became like one of the performers of the week. So what was you went from having this blood clot and missing a season and being the 70th pick and all these things that are happening to you that you had to overcome. And then when you go and get your opportunity, you absolutely kill it. So like, what
Right,
was that
right.
experience like?
It kind of solidified the decisions I had made, right? And I'm not saying that I'm done yet. I'm far from done. I think there's a lot of room left to grow, but there's also a piece in there where I asked for a release from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who my hometown team. It was kind of a childhood dream to play for them. I wanted to be more than a special teamer. And again, coming off that injury and that blood clot, yeah, I could sit here and be a special teamer for the next 5 years of my life. But again, I have higher expectations for myself, and this is all gravy for me now. Like I wasn't supposed to have it, so now I'm like, might as well maximize, every second I have, to make it what it can be. And for me, so asking for a release, signing with Montreal like 2 days later or 2 hours later, playing a game 2 days later from Montreal without really knowing the playbook or nothing. They flew me out to Calgary actually from Winnipeg to meet them to play the game, which is crazy in itself. But yeah, like right away, like being the 30 package linebacker, you know what I mean? And getting that opportunity. And then, a couple of injuries to Chris Hackey and whatnot. And I get another shot, and then they rest Enoch. I get another shot. And, last game of the year, being the CFL top performer, I mean, again, it's not something that you really worry about right now, right? Like we had a playoff game the next week, or you're just trying to prepare. But looking back at it, it's like, wow, like, I kind of rolled the dice on myself when no one else really would. And again, sometimes all you need is an opportunity, right? So definitely wish I was playing football right now and continuing to build off that, but it is what it is. And I'm fortunate that they gave me a shot.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I can't stress that opportunity aspect enough. And taking full advantage of it when the opportunity presents itself is literally the best way you can kind of make your own luck and kind of stay in control of your life. So I think I just wanted to bring that up because I thought obviously that was a really inspiring aspect, not only of you and like what you went through, but also going through and executing. And even with that being said, like obviously on the field, like you're making your way and getting better and better each passing year, but in the off seasons, you're also the manager of player relations for Body Logics. Like, how much of you being a football player kind of helped you with that opportunity, or how did that opportunity kind of arise?
Yeah, so I was a sponsor athlete of theirs for the last 2 years, I'd say, somewhere around there, 2 to 3 years. And obviously, again, I like to go above and beyond whatever the job description is, right? Like it's just because you're an ambassador of a brand and this is what you're supposed to do. It's like, well, hey, like if you actually believe in the product and you believe in the brand and the people running it, like do more. Why not? So I guess I continued to do more than what they had initially asked, and they kind of saw, hey, like this is maybe a facet of our place of employment right now where we don't really have anybody to execute it. So it was an opportunity. I was in Montreal last year. They gave me a call. Hey, instead of just being a sponsored athlete, we'd love to kind of have you kind of run all the player relations, team relations. You're a certified strength coach, which is the same qualifications that all these coaches that you talk to anyway are going to have. So there's that mutual understanding and respect. With regard to the players, it's by no means am I a Vernon Adams or an Enoch Mwamba, or I'm not those two yet, but I think just being kind of the guy that's always worked hard, and I think people respect that from me, regardless of what the stats say or whatnot. I think they can relate to, now I'm just trying to help. And if I can get, guys, free stuff, or educate them on supplementation or nutrition, or get them money with promo codes or whatever it may be. I mean, we have such a short time frame to maximize our platform. And, I see a lot of guys do great work. And if I can just, be another feather in their cap that they can, progress through. And then when they're done football, they're like, hey, like I was actually, doing this for Body Logics for 5, 6 years. And, not only did it help me during football, but now I, have all these different qualities and characteristics that I learned along the way that I can apply to my next job. So I'm fortunate to have that opportunity, man. It's having a supplement company in your backyard here in Winnipeg, it's been good for me. It really
Yeah,
has.
well, for sure. And all the athletes watching this, if you need some supplements, you know who to hit up. Like, this is your guy.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
why
your
Christian veins are popping out right now because he's on back.
guy.
That's what happened before this call.
I have to get my lift in before we got on camera.
Yeah.
But the one constant I'm hearing from you, like whether it be from football, on the field or off the field, is do more, like find a way to do more. And obviously, like with the CFL season being canceled, like I've noticed you've started up something called DJ 47, where now you're taking on more of like the entrepreneurial route. So like, what is DJ 47 about, and like what kind of caused you to get that up and started?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, so time back into, I've been a strength coach for the last 10 years, in the off seasons, and, my old high school and a lot of kids that I've met along the way, they've always asked for help, hey, like, can you give me a program? Can you do this? How do I get better at this? And I've always kind of just done it, pro bono, it's not my full-time job, but hey, like I'll help you guys out. No worries. And then COVID hit and I'm like, man, like kids are hitting me up like right, left and center. Hey, I don't have a gym anymore. Can you give me a program I can do at home? I need to be ready for football still. Like, I don't know how to get there. I have no weight, whatever. And it basically turned into like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, after Body Logics hours, I was just sitting here programming for kids out of the goodness of my heart. And I'm like 2 weeks in, girlfriend's, like, I don't even see you anymore. And I'm like, yeah, like this could be something more. And basically what I did with Team DJ 47 is DJ as a whole, or DJ 47 as a whole from a football player standpoint, would not be here without the help of a lot of different professionals and individuals that, kind of raised me up, what I mean, during my career in different ways and supported me. And I've been, lucky and the beneficiary of that support. And when I looked at the community here, especially in Winnipeg, I realized that there's a lot of services for athletes, but there's not a lot of holistic student athlete services, to make sure that every single, degree of that person is taken care of. A lot of, I think other people, right, have a hidden motto or a hidden agenda. And, it's not really truly about the student athlete first. And I just saw it as a niche, especially during COVID, where, gyms and facilities weren't around, where I kind of called up all the people that had been in my corner and said, hey, like, this is the idea. let's support them. It's a la carte, whatever they need, whatever we see that they need, we can help them. We come to them, right? Because it's, again, a time where doors aren't always open. And it's been, really good so far. And, working with, probably a couple hundred kids now on the weekly, in different capacities. It's been really kind of rejuvenating, in a time where there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of stress, just to see kids enjoy sports, man, and the work and the process that goes into it. And like I said, I'm still a young buck trying to find my way, but it's been fun and really rewarding so far.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you're talking about like being an entrepreneur, like that's one of the most difficult job titles out there. And a lot of people don't realize it, but I think it's pretty synonymous to like being like a professional athlete as well. Like it's the long hours, it's the hard work, it's the collaboration, it's the communication, it's the leadership, like all these transferable skills that you realize that you developed through football are now in your life front and center, and you're an entrepreneur and you're like, oh wait, like I'm using the same skills just in
Yep.
kind of with the different toolbox, a different mindset.
Yep.
So obviously your years of not only like playing professional football but like going through all these adversities, how much has that benefited you in your quest through entrepreneurship and reaching out to all these different people and going through the ups and downs? Like how much of that of your football helped you out with this new path that you're following?
No, without question, man. And that's one thing that I think football is really different than any other sport. It's I think the essentials, or the non-negotiables, right, is the work ethic. The time management, the discipline. Those are all qualities that I look at across any locker room, professional locker room, and you're going to see most guys kind of have those or have learned those qualities, and I think that applies to anything that you do, whether it's during football or post, like you said. But I think, just again, like being the guy that it wasn't always easy, right? I wasn't a first overall pick. I wasn't a guy that got an opportunity in year 1, 2, or 3. I had to wait to year 4. And I think people, to be honest with you, they kind of respect the grind, and I think when you kind of bring the football aside and you realize that life is like that too. You're not going to graduate and walk into a job that pays you 6 figures. I mean, it's rarely going to happen where that, is the kind of money you're making right out of school. And a lot of people, especially kind of our generation or younger, they go, well, like, I'm not patient enough for that. Like, I'll just kind of like leave it and go to whatever looks kind of greener on the other side. And that's not always the way to be. And it's not always going to get you, kind of the rewards that you want to reap. And for me, it was just to keep your nose down, keep your head down, be quiet, don't make the noise until game day. And it's kind of the same thing, right? Like, I start a business, you know, shoot, keep your head down, work, make sure it's done logistically, make sure you got a back end, and then you can kind of slowly roll it out. But shoot, I don't need to be blasting it all over the place, because again, if you believe in yourself, others will follow suit. But if you don't believe in yourself and the product that you have or the business you have, why would anybody else believe in you? You know what I mean? And that's just kind of how I roll with it. And I'm lucky to have a lot of good coaches on staff, and makes my life a lot easier, let me tell you.
No, for sure, and bro, like I'm sitting here like getting inspired, ready to start up my own business and stuff. Because yeah, I think you're absolutely right, man. Like there's like critical junctures in every aspect of life, right? And I feel like you can't rush those. And like having that patience and understanding kind of when to strike and when to like fully execute a plan, I think that's a part of it. And that's something again that you learn through football. Like you mentioned, it took you 4 years to get an opportunity, but you were just kind of
Yeah,
waiting in the wings, waiting in the desk for when you did. And when you did, you made sure that you were so ready that it's almost irrefutable that you belong in this league, you know? And
yeah.
like that's obviously something I can respect. And I guess DJ, just to wrap it up, like for the people watching this and the younger athletes and the younger entrepreneurs or anybody who just wants to be motivated and inspired, as they're watching this, like what is some words of advice you could give them to kind of keep that perseverance on, and not only to persevere on the field, but to make sure that they can persevere off the field as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple, call them quotes, or call them kind of little models that I have that I kind of roll with. And the first of all I learned in high school is, what do you want your legacy to be? And that can apply in anything that you do, sport, otherwise, doesn't matter. But it's just, what do you want your legacy to be? Like, how do you want to be remembered, when your time is done? And I think that if you can kind of think of that, in a retrospective, sense, that really, I think, would cater well to positioning you in the right way as you move forward through life, making sure that you're checking your own boxes, right? And that, hey, like, I'm 50 years old now. This is where I kind of want to be. This is what I want to have achieved. These are the lives I would have want to touch. And, I think that would give you a pretty good, framework on, hey, like, this is how I got to get there. And I think the second, and for me, the most important is just always bet on yourself. Like it's really, I know it's Fred VanVleet's thing, but it's one of those things where it's true, like underdog mentality. I mean, that goes hand in hand. It doesn't have to be easy. And to be honest, if it's worth it, it's probably not easy. And like you said, make sure that you're going to capitalize on the opportunity you get in front of you. You never know when it's going to be, if it's going to be, but shoot, when it comes, you better be ready to capitalize on it and make the most of it. And, I think those are the kind of the biggest two that I, kind of live by is just, be the hardest worker in the room. What do you want your legacy to be? Lead by example, do it the right way, help people, that maybe need it, at certain times and bring them up, raise them up, and always bet on yourself, and you'll be all right.
Exactly. And if you're not your biggest believer, who is, right? So
Yeah.
just hearing that and seeing you put it into practice, not only on the field, but off the field, I think you're one of the perfect guys to come on here and really explain the significance of taking life seriously. Like, of course, take football seriously. Like you mentioned before, like I love football, you love football, but
Yeah.
the game is so fickle. And the fact, I love how you said it, like they're kind of playing on borrowed time, So right now it's like, it's a child's game. Like you're going there, you're having fun. You're obviously putting in as much work as you can
Yeah.
and exerting yourself to the point where there's no regrets. Like you are doing as much as you can to make sure you put yourself in successful positions. But at the same time, you understand this game is so fickle that it would almost be irresponsible to not have a backup plan, to not have something else to rely on, just in case one day, like whether it's injury or there's a new front office and all of a sudden they want something different. You've got to be prepared for those things, right? And I think you not only speaking about jumping from team to team and getting prepared as fast as you can, but going from Body Logics to DJ 47 and doing all these different things. And to yourself, it's like, yeah, I'm just someone that likes to bet on myself and someone that likes to keep pushing the envelope. But I feel like a lot of people are missing the other half of the ingredient, which is bringing those same elements from football and applying them off the field. So, DJ, I appreciate you coming in and speaking about this very important topic, and not only speaking about it, but to putting it into practice as well. So I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you, and I'm sure a lot of people will be excited to watch this, not only because of your football prowess, but also because you're off the field endeavors as well.
No, I appreciate you, man. And, football, it's just getting started for you at this level. But I think that, with the head you got on your shoulders, there's nothing but, a bright future for you. And having this platform to allow players to speak, above and beyond just what happens on the field, you got it right. And I think there's a lot of us that can speak to that. So let's get to 2021. Let's do some damage out in Montreal, because that's first step. But like you said, make sure you got something to fall back on, and you're on your way there too. So it's been a pleasure, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate that, boss. And yes, sir, 2021, we're already training for it, bro. We're just hoping, waiting, fingers
Hey,
crossed for this.
biceps though, for real though. That's Body Logic. We worked out right there. We got it. Coming up 514. We good.
It's that pre-workout stuff for sure, man. But thanks for watching Switch Brutality, and always remember, you're built different. Peace.